Now, before we begin talking about today's Hallmark, I just need to put out like a PSA, a warning, if you will. If wherever you work looks at all remotely like the business we are about to see today, you need to call the police. Hey guys, my name is Alanna and I love hate Hallmark, so I'm going to recap Summer Love for you today, 2016. If you are here because you enjoy Hallmark and you're looking for a review, this is not the place for you. But if you love hate Hallmarks, you love watching them, you love making fun of them, you've come to the right place. So 2016 is one of my favorite eras of Hallmark because there's just a lot of silliness that happens in this sort of time frame. With Summer Love, you guessed it, we start with royalty-free music. But no royalty-free city footage. Normally you get the music, you get city shots. No, we're actually in the woods. So we are out in new territory. As with all my recaps, I never remember the female protagonist's name, so I just call her our girl. She's our Hallmark girly, the one that we're rooting for. And we start with our girl driving her daughter to summer camp, and she mentions sort of a throwaway line that the mom, our girl, is doing a summer internship. How intriguing. Then we learn that our girl is a single parent, so vote now. Widow or divorced? There's only one right answer, and it's widow, of course. Divorce does not exist in the Hallmark cinematic universe. We also learned, we're learning a lot right from the beginning, we also learned that our girl is poor.
Addison, you're in cabin 12. Mrs. Sulliway, the office just needs to know if you want to pay your remaining balance now or when you pick Addison up.
I'll do that when I pick her up. We are on the extended payment plan.
After our girl drops off her kid at camp, she comes home, she's going through unpaid bills. Just in case you didn't understand from the clip earlier that she's poor. We also see her studying with a very important line.
Cannot believe I'm doing homework again at my age.
This is basically the core concept of this movie. She's old and she's back at school. Also, she's poor, in case you missed it. The next day, she's off to the community college for school, and we get a little bit of an exposition dump from the teacher about upcoming internships.
These internships count for half your mark. You must get the HR department to sign off. No signature, no internship. No internship, no class credit, no class credit. Well, you can see where this is going, and it is a trail of broken dreams.
We learn that our girl gets the most desired internship. So she's doing an accounting internship with this tech company that is responsible for the social media platform Talker. And because she's old, in case you missed it, she doesn't really know much about Talker. She's not into tech or social media, but all of the young college kids in her class are like super jealous because they want that internship. Because guess what? She's old and she doesn't appreciate it. We also learn in this scene, and honestly, I gasped. How old do you think this old woman is? She's 35. I am approaching 35. According to Hallmark, I might as well just dig my grave now. Fuck you, Hallmark, I am young and vibrant. Now we cut to our girl at this climbing store, like climbing supply store. So I guess she's doing the internship, unpaid internship, and she's also working at this store, and she's basically, this whole scene is just her complaining to her coworker best friend about how she's too old and she's not gonna fit in. Now their conversation in this scene is largely pointless, but I couldn't stop looking at the background. Now what I think that they were trying to do is like this artistic sort of blurry background. So it's kind of like a shallow depth of field. You know, they're up front, the background is blurry, but as I'm watching this scene, like, it's really blurry, like really blurry, like too blurry, shockingly blurry. And then I thought, what if it's because they can't show the brand names of the climbing products behind them? So they're trying to do an artistic thing, but really it's because they're trying to blur out all of those product names. I don't know, maybe it's just me. The next day she arrives at the tech company and it's giving like off-brand Facebook vibes. Like if you ordered Facebook off of Wish, like Shein Facebook. And we get another line with our girl and the receptionist, just in case you forgot that she's old.
Hi.
Hey there. I am here for the internship.
If you need an intern, you're gonna have to go through HR.
I am the intern.
You know what I love about that? is that I've only worked here for like a minute and I already have seniority over you.
After the little ageism scene with the receptionist, she gets dumped in with all the other interns. Did you forget that she's old?
Aren't you a little mature to be an intern?
It's here that we learn our girl is being assigned to the CFO, the chief financial officer of this entire company. His name's Colin, and everybody cringes because apparently he's super mean. So she's walking to meet Colin, the CFO, and she runs into this man, and he's kind of like helping her get there and whatever. And she's talking about how she's getting paired up with Colin, who apparently is super strict and tough, and like she's really worried about it. And mild shock, the man who's helping her is in fact Colin. You'll love to see it. In his office, they chat about pointless stuff, but just take a minute to think about what is happening here, okay? A Facebook-like company is working with a community college for interns. Fine, I'm sure Facebook or Meta or whatever, I'm sure they do something similar. But they have paired a community college intern with the chief financial officer. It's better if we don't ask questions. While our girl and Colin are talking, they get interrupted by this younger guy. We learn he is the CEO, Will. And he's a bit cocky, he's a bit younger, boisterous. Maybe we have our love triangle already?
Well, this has been fun.
Anyway, the CEO, Will, interrupts this meeting with Colin, and he takes our girl on a tour of the company. Because as CEO, he has nothing better to do. So Will basically exposition dumps stuff about the company, about him and Colin, and starting talker and whatever, as he's giving this tour to our girl. It is uncomfortable. He is flirting, he's giving her weird looks. Let's just say he doesn't take any of the men on campus tours. But who among us hasn't had a creepy boss, am I right? After this creep tour, Will drops our girl off with the other interns, and we learn about Pitch Fest.
What's shaking, everybody?
We were just talking about Pitch Fest.
What's that?
Oh, it's just a little contest we have every year. Anyone and everyone is encouraged to participate. Best new app wins.
It's a big deal. Like, really big.
Winning can set you up for life.
I gotta take this, but I'm looking forward to hearing everyone's pitches.
Especially yours, Maya.
Let's just leave that there and move on, shall we? After work, the climbing store coworker / best friend and our girl are gossiping, and the best friend is convinced that our girl has a crush on the sexual predator at work, Will. You know what? It happens to the best of us. One tidbit that we learned from this scene is that our girl was married to a man named Nate, and Nate was a climber who apparently saved a bunch of kids and has since died. But just keep that up here for a bit. And to end the scene, this is so not important, but it just made me laugh. They're having this sort of heartfelt conversation about Nate being dead and like maybe having a crush on this new guy. Maybe there's new love, right? We're moving on. Who knows? Like it's quite personal and heartfelt. And then we get this like weird, just 5 seconds of a song and the scene's over.
So you'll consider it? Getting back out there?
No. That Nate's a hard act to follow.
Like, okay. Next up, we are back at the office. Our girl is inside, like, trying to get work done because, you know, she's mature. She's a woman. She's trying to get her work done while everybody else is outside at this barbecue. And you know it's a trendy workplace when people are drinking out of mason jars.
Yo, team, what's up? We're getting closer and closer to launching Talker 2.0, and I've been getting a lot of questions lately that pertain to whether or not Talker can maintain its stronghold in the market. And I am here to say, yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Wait, isn't that Obama's thing? Anyway, our girl eventually comes outside, joins in the barbecue, and she's immediately targeted by the sexual predator Will. And the group of interns that we see like throughout this film, there's 3 of them. There's girl intern, there's super nerdy boy intern, and there's big boy intern. And they're all kind of like grossed out by this interaction because they think our girl is sucking up to the boss. And it's in this little barbecue scene that Will immediately tries to get really close to her.
Listen, don't be upset with me, but I looked at your personnel file.
It's your company.
I didn't realize you were married to Nate Soloway.
You knew him?
I knew of him. He's a great climber. I'm actually a climber as well. You and I have a lot in common. We should maybe go to dinner tonight.
Yikes! Honey, call HR. This is literally why HR exists. She turns him down, thank God, and he has this like sort of throwaway line that no one's ever said no to him before. Spooky. After work, she goes to this bar and the little group of interns are there and they're all like being pretty shitty to her. And so she's like, look, I'm not doing anything. I'm not entering Pitch Fest. I'm not your competition. I'm not giving blowjobs to management. She didn't say that last bit, but can you imagine? I hope to live to an age to see Hallmark write a movie with a line about blowjobs. It is not this day, but someday. A girl can dream. Anyway, next scene is pretty important. We get some exposition between the CFO, Colin, a bit older, mature, calm. I, spoiler alert, love this man. And the CEO, Will, sexual predator. But they're outside near this like fruit juice truck, which feels very off-brand Facebook. And they give us some important exposition about the state of the company.
The investors are breathing down our necks. What am I supposed to tell them?
We'll just stall them like you did with Talker.
Okay, that was then, and that was further along in its development. Programming says they still need 6 months.
I am working as fast as I can.
Yes, you're throwing great barbecues and chasing interns. And look, I need a working version of 2.0 now. Or I need the next great Will Martin idea.
You don't understand. You're not the creative here. There is a process.
Well, if we don't deliver something new, as promised, then we will lose the financing, and then this whole thing is sunk.
And honestly, Colin has like a weird shaped head, but I love this guy. A+. But this scene gives us the stakes. So they are supposed to be launching Talker 2.0 or Talker 2 or whatever. And Will is not ready. Keep that up here, okay? After work, our girl goes back to the same bar and she just sits down at like a random dirty table, right? There's all these like dirty glasses. And big boy intern comes over with a beer pitcher and just starts filling the glasses. Do we know who used these glasses before? Anyway, not important, but it grossed me out. Oh, my back's starting to hurt. Anyway, our girl starts talking about how great it would be if there was an app that could tell you how to do your chores or your errands in like the most efficient way. So it could order your tasks in the right order and it could say like, oh, you should go to the supermarket at this time because it's less busy and this is where you should park and whatever. And she's just kind of like talking about this app idea. Go ahead and, yep, put it up here. Put a pin in that. A lot of these pins are gonna come into play very shortly. Our girl realizes that she has picked up Colin's USB for some reason, and he really needs it, and he needs her to bring it to him now. So she drives to a marina because he lives on a houseboat. First Hallmark love interest to live in a houseboat. And rather than meeting her on the dock, like bringing his laptop, because laptops are portable, rather than taking his laptop, meeting her on the dock so he can check the USB, he makes her walk all the way through these boats to get on his houseboat. I love Colin, but this is completely unnecessary and kind of creepy. And again, if you work in a company where the boss man wants you to come on his houseboat, maybe don't do it. Anyway, I do actually like Colin, but we do get a shot of him on the houseboat in his bare feet. Don't like that. But we do get an exposition dump. We learn a bit more about Colin. He was raised by a single mother. The boat was his like big purchase when Talker did really well. He lives on his boat and he wants to sail the world. He's a kind, simple man, even if he's barefoot. The next day we cut to kind Colin and sexual predator Will in the car, and Colin's like, where are you going? And Will's like, I just need to make a quick stop. And where does he take them? To our girl's climbing store. That means he deliberately looked in her personnel file to find out where she works and showed up there. Yikes! This is literally serial killer behavior, or at the very least, sexual assault.
Listen, I just wanted to come here and apologize for putting you in an awkward situation when I asked you out at work the other day.
Sweet summer child, you are putting her in another awkward position, arguably worse than the first one. And you know exactly what happens next. You know it. You can just tell, right? He asks her out again, and because there are people watching and her best friend is like encouraging her to do it, she says yes, but it's not a date. They're going to go climbing just as two people who love to go climbing. Yes, girly, put yourself in a dangerous situation alone in the woods with a man who definitely can't come within 400 meters of a school. Anyway, we cut to the next day or whatever day, it doesn't matter, but they're at the climbing spot that's not a date. And she's basically like a professional. Super quick, really good climber. I feel like this is our first Hallmark girly who's been a climber. Write that down.
How are you not doing this professionally?
And even though she told him this is not a date, this is just them hanging out, when she climbs to the top, she finds that there's this little table set up for two people to have a romantic lunch. Yes, it's all very cringe and suddenly I've lost my appetite. We cut from the awkward mountaintop lunch to like gym class. They're just like throwing balls around and shit. There's nothing worse than team building, other than being alone in the woods with a sexual predator. They're playing this game to like generate ideas. It doesn't matter, but the only thing that does matter here is Big Boy Intern. Big Boy Intern gets put on the spot and he basically brings up this idea of an app that organizes your errands for you to be more efficient, right? The app that our girl suggested, Big Boy Intern has stolen that idea. And Will loves it. He's going to actually work on this app and he's made Big Boy Intern like the project manager. But Colin, mature, kind, barefoot Colin, bit more perceptive, he can tell that this is not Big Boy Intern's idea and he confronts our girl and is like, I think this is your idea and I think he stole it. And so he brings over Big Boy Intern and confronts him, and our girl backs him up and says, no, it's his idea, it's a great idea, and she lets him have it. Because she's nice and she's old and she's a bit of a pushover, if I'm gonna be honest. And while Colin and our girl are having like this heartfelt conversation and he's saying like, you should believe in yourself, like you can achieve so much, and he's looking very cute, they get interrupted by Will.
That was nice, what you did. Hopefully he learns his lesson.
Don't know what you're talking about.
You are both terrible liars.
Then why did you have us
Because
go
a good leader is supposed to know which idea is worth fighting for and which person is worth fighting for.
I think you're great at that.
Wasn't talking about me.
I mean, thank you, of course, but I'm just an intern.
No. You shouldn't sell yourself short.
Hey, Maya, did you get my text?
I literally cannot with this man-child. We cut to the next day and Will shows up at our girl's house. They're going to this like activity thing and he finds these wildflowers, like the small little bouquet on her doorstep. So he gives them to her and he's like, this isn't for me. She reads the card and they're from Colin. What psychopath writes over the crease in the card? That's insane. Anyway, their activity is volunteering to plant trees. And that's it. That's the end of the scene. We simply do not have time for a tree planting music montage. Back at work, our girl gets a giant bouquet of wildflowers from sexual predator Will. So Will finds out that she likes wildflowers because Colin sent that small bouquet. Although it looks like he picked the small bouquet, Will wants to show him up one and gets her a giant bouquet. At least he didn't write across the fold in the card. And when she goes to thank sexual predator Will, how many times do you think I could say that in this video before it gets taken down? But when she goes to thank Will, rather than accepting her thanks, he says this.
Thank you for the flowers. They're beautiful. Very large, but beautiful.
Yesterday was a blast. And besides, what's a few wildflowers after planting a dozen trees? So, did I pass the audition? I mean, 2 non-dates that went pretty well should transition to 1 real date, don't you think?
Because they have hung out twice and he has given her flowers, he deserves to go on a real date. Oh my God. And she says, okay. Great choice, honey. Then we get a scene of Colin and our girl working together, and they're just sort of chatting about life, and she's got this kid and she really wants to take the kid traveling around the world and so she can learn stuff and whatever, and they're talking about being outside. Doesn't really matter. But she says something and then it triggers an idea. And Colin is so kind and wonderful, and thankfully he's wearing shoes in this scene, that he lets her leave early because she's got this idea, she's gotta go. He lets her go. So she goes home and she sort of formulates this idea, and essentially it's, what if you had an app that would track all of your steps, and then a foundation or a charity could donate maybe a cent for every step, or a half a cent or whatever. So you're basically raising money by walking, and she calls it Steps for Good. So she brings the idea to Colin and she's explaining what it is, and he loves it, but he says don't submit it to PitchFest, because when you submit an app or an idea, whatever, to PitchFest, the company, like the Talker company, then owns that idea. So he suggests grow the idea on your own, bring it back to me so I can invest in it, because he thinks that it's such a great idea that she's gonna earn loads of money from it. Also, have I said that I love Colin?
I believe in you. You should believe in yourself too.
It's always been kind of tough for me.
I don't understand that. You're one of the most amazing people I know.
I just love this guy. When he's wearing shoes. Back at the usual bar, our girl runs into the small group of interns and she tells them about her idea, and she wants them to help her but not submit it to PitchFest. And then we get a montage of them working on the app at her house, and something about this song just absolutely kills me.
All right, let's do this.
Feeling good in my brand new shoes. Happy day.
And after just a couple of hours, the app is finished and it works. They made this entire thing in less than one evening. Love it. Next up is what appears to be an actual kind of date situation. Sexual predator Will and our girl are out to lunch, and it's basically just Will complaining about Colin the entire time. He thinks Colin is too rigid, he's too stuck up, he's not cool like me. Colin believes in consent. That is so lame. But then our girl spills her drink on herself. Hate when that happens. And she runs off to the bathroom. And while she's gone, her phone dings. And you know Will is looking at what that notification is, and he somehow is able to unlock her phone. Her phone, I guess, just isn't locked. Don't ask questions. And he sees this Steps for Good prototype that was emailed to her by one of the interns. So he sends it to himself and then puts her phone back. Finally, it is PitchFest, the day I've been waiting for. Said literally no one. Colin is upset because they're supposed to announce Talker 2.0 at this PitchFest to all the shareholders and like the board and stuff, and it's obviously not ready. So Colin is very concerned, and Will is like, don't worry about it, I've got something even better. So Will takes the stage and he gets heckled by the most fake like voiceover hecklers I've ever heard.
All right, psyched to be here. Talker launched a new way for people to connect. And now we're taking it to the next level. With its latest version almost ready for launch.
When already? Come on, how much longer? What's up with that? Yeah.
Are the hecklers in the room with us? Spoiler alert, no. I think that's quite obvious. Anyway, Will admits that Talker 2, Talker 2.0, whatever, is not ready. And instead, he launches Steps for Good. And he brings up our girl onto the stage, making it look like it was this sort of joint situation, this joint production, that's not the word I want, project, this joint project. Colin is upset, the other interns are upset, and she's really confused.
I swear to you guys, I did not give him our app.
Then how did he get it? None of us gave it to him.
I have no idea. The only people I ever even spoke to about it were my best friend Chantal and Colin.
You just expect us to believe you?
Either way, Maya, you betrayed us.
And here is our famous Hallmark miscommunication. Rather than taking literally 5 seconds to explain ourselves, to talk things through, no, that's too easy. Let's just assume things, get angry, and then run away. Our girl pulls Will aside and she's pissed.
Maya, I'm sorry. I don't know why you're so upset. I'm doing this for you.
She thinks that Colin, nice guy Colin, gave Steps for Good to Will. So when she told Colin about it, because he was one of the only people who knew, when she told him about Steps for Good, she thinks he then took it and gave it to Will. And Will basically like lets her believe that.
Maya, I don't understand. Why did you give it to Will?
You're a thief.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I quit.
Girl, just let him speak. All of this can be solved in one conversation, but no, we've got 11 minutes to kill, so buckle up. Back at the office, Will admits that our girl never submitted Steps for Good to Pitch Fest and that he stole it.
She didn't give it to me. She didn't even know I had it.
So Maya didn't submit Steps for Good to the competition? Then how did you get it?
I took it from her phone.
That's pretty low.
It wasn't my finest moment.
Well, at least he's being honest. He's a sexual predator, but he's honest. But Colin gives us this exposition dump that when you submit an idea to Pitch Fest, you have to sign a bunch of waivers. So the company would then legally own the idea. But because she didn't sign anything, they don't own Steps for Good. And all of this was for nothing. It's the end of the summer and our girl goes and picks up her daughter from camp. She's bringing her back to the house. When they're at the house, the other interns show up and they apologize for being shitty and basically say they found out how Will got Steps for Good because they hacked his phone.
I got to thinking about everything and I never really believed you betrayed us, so I did some digging. I discovered how Will got the app.
But it was Colin.
No, it wasn't. It was Will.
He got it from the text I sent you that had the working prototype.
I don't understand.
Trust me. Now, I can't reveal how I managed to get into Will's phone, but I did. And there it was. He got it from your phone. Want me to go back into his phone and delete all his contacts?
Honestly, I love this kid. They should have given him more screen time. You know what? I would watch a whole Hallmark movie on this kid finding a love interest. The next day, our girl goes back to the community college and she's meeting with her advisor. And essentially our girl quit, right? She quit the internship early, which means she didn't finish the internship, which means she can't finish or graduate that class. And so she's trying to convince the advisor, like, I came up with this app and I did all this great stuff. Please just give me credit. Even though I quit early, like, please just let me pass. And the advisor is like, no. She's gonna fail her anyways, and you know what? That's community college. And guess what? That whole scene was pointless because when our girl goes outside, she runs into Colin, who's coming to meet with the advisor to tell her basically that our girl finished the internship. He signed all the paperwork so she can get her like class credit. And we also learned that Colin has quit and he wants to be the first investor to Steps for Good.
You have real integrity, Maya, and I admire that.
I love this man. I feel like all Hallmark men should take note. More of them should be like Colin. And finally, the moment we've all been waiting for, they kiss. Round of applause, everyone. We are almost there. We cut to the three of them on Colin's houseboat. He gets to travel the world like he's always wanted. She gets to travel with her kid and like teach her kid stuff like she's always wanted. Respectfully, this is a very small boat for 3 people to live on full time. Just imagine you're living on a tiny boat with your mom and your mom's boyfriend. Not a lot of privacy. Gonna just say that. And finally, this made me laugh. I don't know, maybe it was just me. Maybe I was just so tired of this movie by the end of it. The final scene is them sailing away. It is so long. I gotta be honest, that was unnecessary. We've made it, everyone. Congratulations. Now, for all of my Hallmark reviews, I like to look at 3 different categories: chemistry, plot, and overall enjoyment. So for chemistry, it's kind of difficult because sexual predator Will is so atrocious, but Colin is one of my favorite Hallmark men so far, so I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 5. And mark my words, Colin is the best male protagonist we've had so far. Let's see if we can beat that. For plot, I'm gonna say 4 out of 5. Technically this makes sense, which is more than you can say for some Hallmarks. You know, you've got this internship with a tech company, making your own app, going rock climbing with a sexual offender. It technically makes sense. For enjoyment, I'm gonna give this 3 out of 5. It's fine, it's okay. Nothing too silly happens. There aren't any like really obvious like budget issues, which is one of my favorite things with Hallmarks. None of that really happens. It's totally fine. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a comment down below. What was your favorite part? I think mine was when I saw Colin's bare feet and I screamed. If you'd like to watch something else, how about this one? A woman working a big corporate job goes back to her small town. Classic Hallmark. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, bye!